Welcome back to the channel Pocket Change Coins, coin lovers and collectors alike. If you're someone who's always on the lookout for rare treasures or you're just starting out in the exciting world of numismatics, then today's video is going to be a real treat. We're about to dive into a coin that many may overlook but that has some serious value hidden beneath its surface, the 1964 Liberty 5-cent coin, also known as the 1964 Jefferson Nickel, minted in Denver with the D mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a nickel. What's so special about that? Well, stick around, because this seemingly humble coin could be worth more than you could ever imagine. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this particular nickel could fetch a whopping sum of $100,000. Let's take a step back and explore the history behind this little piece of American currency. The 1964 Jefferson nickel was minted during an interesting time in U.S. history. The country was in the midst of the post-World War II economic boom, and by 1964, the United States had fully recovered from the Great Depression. People were flush with confidence, and the economy was thriving. The nickel itself features a design that many of us are familiar with. On the obverse side, you have Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, who was chosen as the face of the nickel in 1938. On the reverse side, you'll see Monticello, the historic Virginia home of Jefferson, symbolizing American history and heritage. But what sets the 1964 Jefferson nickel apart from others in the series? It's all about the minting process and the condition of the coin. Now, let's dig a little deeper. The minting process in 1964 wasn't entirely smooth. A lot of nickels from that year were circulated heavily, used for everyday transactions, and ended up in people's pockets, wallets, and even vending machines. Most of these nickels have seen years of wear and tear, with many showing signs of heavy use. As you can imagine, finding a coin from 1964 that hasn't suffered the usual damage is quite rare, but here's where it gets interesting. When coins are made, some of them experience slight errors or irregularities during the production process. These errors can happen in the minting machines, and they may go unnoticed until someone takes a closer look at the coin. Some of these errors can result in major variations in the coin's appearance, which makes them highly sought after by collectors. In the case of the 1964 Jefferson nickel, there's a specific variety that collectors have come to treasure, one that features a distinctive die break or a misaligned die error. This rare variety can be identified by its unusual design characteristics, such as the positioning of the date or unusual spacing in the lettering. This type of error is rare, but when it happens, it's an instant attraction for coin collectors who know what to look for. What makes the 1964 Jefferson nickel even more valuable is its mint mark. The D mint mark indicates that the coin was minted in Denver, which in itself isn't that unusual. After all, Denver was one of the primary minting facilities for the United States. But certain coins from the Denver mint in this year have special qualities. Whether it's due to a production flaw, a variation in the metal content, or another issue, some of the 1964 nickels have become incredibly rare and valuable. These coins are harder to find, especially in uncirculated or near-mint condition. And as with any rare coin, the demand from collectors increases the potential value exponentially. Now, let's talk about condition. The majority of 1964 Jefferson nickels that you'll find in your change jar or coin rolls have seen their fair share of use. They may have scratches, worn-out details, or discoloration from being used in circulation for decades. But coins that are in mint condition, those that were kept in pristine, protected storage, are much more valuable. These are the coins that can fetch top dollar in the numismatic market. And even more rare are coins that have been graded highly by professional grading services, which means they've been evaluated for their authenticity, condition, and rarity. So, what's the real value of a 1964 Jefferson nickel? You might be thinking it's just a 5-cent piece, so how could it be worth much? Well, let me tell you, if you happen to have a 1964 Jefferson nickel that is in perfect, uncirculated condition, or better yet, if it has one of those rare minting errors or distinctive features that make it stand out, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Here's the exciting part. If you own a 1964 Liberty 5-cent coin, especially one that is in exceptional condition, you could be looking at a value of $100,000. Yes, you heard that right, $100,000. The combination of its rarity, condition, and unique minting error makes this coin an incredibly valuable find in the world of coin collecting. So, the next time you come across a 1964 Jefferson nickel in your collection, take a closer look. It might just be worth far more than you ever thought possible. Imagine finding one of these rare nickels in your collection, passed down through generations, or even coming across one in a coin shop or at a local market. You could be holding onto something truly valuable. Whether it's the unique features of the coin or its pristine condition, there's no doubt that this coin can command a hefty price in the right market. So, the next time you get your hands on a 1964 Jefferson nickel, don't just brush it off as a simple coin. Take a moment to examine it closely. Check for any unusual features or signs of wear that could make it stand out. You never know, what you thought was just a humble nickel might actually be worth a lot more than you expect. Second rare coin, we've got an exciting coin to talk about, one that you might have overlooked in your collection or in your spare change. We're diving into the world of the 1971 Liberty 5-cent coin, also known as the 1971 Jefferson nickel, minted with the D mint mark in Denver. While most of us are familiar with the nickel, especially the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, there's a lot more to this seemingly simple coin than meets the eye. Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this coin could be worth a staggering amount of money, up to $82,000. First, let's take a quick trip back in time to 1971. The United States was going through a period of change. The country was in the midst of the post-Vietnam era, and the economy was undergoing significant shifts. The 1971 Jefferson nickel is part of a long-running series that began in 1938, featuring the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse side of the coin. On the reverse, you'll find a depiction of Monticello, Jefferson's famous estate, symbolizing the nation's history and pride. However, the 1971 nickel, minted in Denver with the D mint mark, holds special significance for collectors. While the design is familiar and timeless, there's something unique about the 1971 D nickel that collectors and investors are particularly drawn to. To understand why, let's dig into the factors that contribute to a coin's value, rarity, condition, and, of course, the presence of any special features or errors. When it comes to coin collecting, the condition of the coin plays a crucial role in its overall value. Coins that have been circulating for years, bounced around in pockets or traded in vending machines, often show signs of wear. These can include scratches, discoloration, and worn-out details, all of which can diminish a coin's value. But if a coin remains in near-perfect or uncirculated condition, its value can skyrocket. And that's where the 1971 D Jefferson nickel becomes particularly interesting. While millions of these nickels were minted, many of them ended up in daily transactions, which means they were often exposed to the usual wear and tear. However, a much smaller percentage of these coins were carefully preserved, and that's what makes them so valuable today. If you're lucky enough to find a 1971 D Jefferson nickel that has been carefully stored, kept in pristine condition, or even graded as uncirculated, then you might be holding onto a rare gem, but the value doesn't stop there. Collectors also look for coins with unique features, such as minting errors. When coins are struck at the mint, they sometimes experience slight irregularities in the process, leading to errors that can make a coin much more valuable. For example, die cracks, double strikes, or other subtle variations can make a coin stand out from the rest. These errors are relatively rare, and collectors are always on the lookout for them because they add a layer of uniqueness to a coin story. The 1971 D Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that, while it might not have been produced with any particular errors or commemorative designs, can still be extremely valuable if you find the right version. A well-preserved 1971 D nickel that has been graded as MS 65 or higher by professional grading services can demand a premium in the market. This is especially true if the coin has been kept in its original packaging or has been protected from circulation, making it an exceptional example of its kind. So, how much can a 1971 D Jefferson nickel be worth? Well, like any coin, the value can vary depending on its condition and rarity. Most 1971 D Jefferson nickels are worth only a few cents, especially if they've been used in circulation. However, if you have one in near-perfect or uncirculated condition, the value can increase exponentially. The key is finding a coin that has survived in exceptional condition and hasn't suffered the usual wear and tear that comes with being in circulation. Now, here's the exciting part. A 1971 Jefferson nickel, in pristine condition, could be worth as much as $82,000. Yes, you read that right, $82,000. That's the kind of value a perfectly preserved, uncirculated 1971 nickel can fetch at auction or from a serious collector. It's mind-blowing to think that such a small and seemingly ordinary coin could command such a high price. But in the world of numismatics, rarity, condition, and demand all come together to create a perfect storm for high-value coins that if you have one of these rare and valuable nickels in your collection, it might just be time to have it professionally graded. Professional grading services can evaluate the coin's condition, verify its authenticity, and assign it a grade that will determine its market value. A coin graded as MS 65 or higher could be your ticket to a significant payday. So, next time you're sorting through your coin collection or browsing through some old rolls of change, keep an eye out for the 1971 Jefferson nickel. It might look like an ordinary coin, but in the right condition, it could be worth much more than you expect. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or a casual hobbyist, finding a rare and valuable coin like this can make your day, and possibly even your year. Third expensive coin, we're going to explore the fascinating story behind the 1973 Liberty 5-cent coin, also known as the 1973 Jefferson nickel, and uncover why this seemingly ordinary coin might just be worth a small fortune. That's right, by the end of this video, you'll see just how valuable this particular nickel can be, up to $65,000, believe it or not. Now, when you think about nickels, the first thing that probably comes to mind is that iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. The 1973 Jefferson nickel is part of a series that has featured Jefferson's image since 1938. But while the design has remained relatively consistent over the years, some of these coins, like the 1973 version, have a fascinating backstory, particularly when it comes to their value in today's numismatic market. So, let's set the stage for 1973. The US was in the midst of the post-Vietnam era, and the country's economy was feeling the pressure of inflation and rising oil prices. Despite the economic turmoil, the US Mint was hard at work producing millions of coins, including the 1973 Jefferson nickel. The design on the front, as always, features Thomas Jefferson's profile, while the reverse side showcases Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia home. These familiar elements have made the Jefferson nickel one of the most beloved and enduring coin designs in American history. But what makes the 1973 version of this coin so special? Well, let's take a deeper look at how coins like this gain value in the world of coin collecting. The first factor that determines a coin's worth is its rarity. While millions of 1973 Jefferson nickels were minted, the true value comes from the coin's condition. Coins that have been used in circulation for years are often worn down, with details like Jefferson's image or Monticello's structure becoming faded or scratched over time. But coins that have been carefully preserved, especially those that have never seen circulation, are far less common and far more valuable. As with many coins, the 1973 Jefferson nickel is typically worth just 5 cents when found in average condition. But, if you manage to come across one that is in near-perfect or uncirculated condition, the value shoots up. These well-preserved coins are highly sought after by collectors who understand the importance of condition when it comes to determining a coin's worth. You see, a coin that's free from scratches, dings, or any signs of wear is much rarer than one that has been through the usual rigors of daily use, but that's not all. Another key factor that can increase the value of a 1973 Jefferson nickel is the possibility of minting errors. These errors can occur when the minting process isn't perfect, leading to variations that make the coin one of a kind. Common errors include double strikes, off-center impressions, or die cracks. These imperfections can make a coin stand out from the rest and turn an otherwise ordinary nickel into something truly special. For example, a 1973 Jefferson nickel with a noticeable minting flaw, such as a double die or an off-center strike, could drastically increase its value. Error coins are particularly attractive to collectors because they're unique and hard to find, making them much more valuable than coins that were minted without any issues. Now, let's talk about the 1973 D Mint mark variety, the version of this nickel that was minted at the Denver Mint. The D Mint mark is something coin collectors keep an eye out for, as it can sometimes indicate a coin that was struck with slightly different characteristics or production methods than coins minted in other locations, like Philadelphia or San Francisco. While this doesn't always mean the coin is more valuable, in certain cases, it can add to the rarity of the piece, especially if the coin shows no signs of wear or minting errors. But here's the kicker: the true value of the 1973 Jefferson nickel comes down to finding one that's been carefully stored, free from wear, and, if you're lucky, one that has an error or two. So, how much could this seemingly humble coin be worth if you find one in excellent condition? Here's the jaw-dropping part: this rare, uncirculated 1973 Jefferson nickel could be worth up to $65,000. Yes, you heard that right, $65,000. A coin that you might pass by without a second thought could actually fetch a price that's enough to change your financial outlook. It's amazing to think that something as simple as a 5-cent piece could hold so much value. But in the world of numismatics, rarity, condition, and demand combine to create opportunities for coins to skyrocket in value. So, next time you find yourself going through a coin jar or browsing through some old rolls of change, be sure to take a closer look at any 1973 Jefferson nickels you come across. If it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if it has some unique minting error, you might just be holding a small fortune in your hands. And if you do happen to come across one of these rare coins, it's a good idea to have it professionally graded. Grading services assess a coin's condition and assign it a grade based on its appearance, which in turn affects its value. A coin with a high grade, especially one that has been preserved in its original, uncirculated state, can fetch top dollar at auctions or from serious collectors. So, the next time you're sorting through your coins, don't overlook that 1973 Jefferson nickel. While it might seem like just another nickel, it could be the hidden gem you've been waiting for. Whether it's the rarity, the pristine condition, or the potential for a minting error, this coin could be worth far more than you expect. Especially, we're diving into the 1975 Liberty 5 cents coin, more commonly known as the 1975 Jefferson nickel. This coin might seem like just another ordinary nickel, but there's much more to it than meets the eye. In fact, if you have one of these nickels in exceptional condition, it could be worth a lot more than you might think, up to $76,000. Believe it or not, let's set the scene and take you back to 1975. The United States was navigating through a challenging economic period, dealing with the aftermath of the Vietnam War and the oil crises that shook the world. While the economy was facing uncertainty, the U.S. Mint continued its important work of producing coins for circulation, including the Jefferson nickel. These coins were part of the ongoing series that has featured the image of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse side since 1938. The reverse of the 1975 Jefferson nickel features a striking image of Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia estate, symbolizing his contributions to the nation's history. However, it's not the design or the basic history of the coin that makes the 1975 Jefferson nickel stand out. It's the condition and rarity that give this coin its true value. As with many coins, the most important factor that determines the value of a 1975 Jefferson nickel is its condition. A coin that has been circulated over the years, passing through hands, vending machines, and wallets, can easily show signs of wear. You might notice worn details, scratches, and discoloration, which all lower a coin's value. But if you're fortunate enough to find one that has remained in mint condition, never being spent, used, or handled, it's a completely different story. Coins like these are considered uncirculated, and they're significantly rarer than those that have been used for regular transactions. For collectors, these pristine, uncirculated coins are like hidden treasures that are worth a premium. You see, the minting process isn't perfect, and the vast majority of coins produced by the U.S. Mint end up with some form of wear. That's why a 1975 Jefferson nickel that has managed to stay in near-perfect condition for decades is a valuable find. Now, let's take a closer look at the 1975 D mintmark nickel. This particular version of the coin was minted in Denver, and as with many coins, there are always subtle differences between the coins minted at different facilities. The D mintmark signifies that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which is an important detail for collectors who seek coins with specific mint marks. While the mint mark alone doesn't drastically change the value of a coin, it can make it more desirable to certain collectors who specialize in gathering coins from specific mints, but there's even more to this coin than just its basic condition or mint mark. In the world of numismatics, collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have unique features or errors. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process, leading to variations in the coin's design. These mistakes can include things like double strikes, off-center impressions, or even die cracks. Coins with these kinds of errors are highly sought after because they are unique and can't be replicated. Even a slight imperfection can increase the value of the coin dramatically. While the 1975 Jefferson nickel wasn't issued with any special commemorative design or error pattern, the coins that survive in excellent condition are still highly desirable. An uncirculated 1975 D nickel with no signs of wear can become a prized possession for collectors looking to complete their Jefferson nickel series. As time goes on, coins like these become harder and harder to find, making them even more valuable in the market. So, what makes the 1975 D Jefferson nickel such an interesting and potentially valuable coin? It all comes down to the combination of rarity, condition, and the collector's market. When you consider how many of these nickels were produced and how many have survived in pristine condition, it becomes clear why they are so valuable. And here's the exciting part: if you happen to find a well-preserved 1975 D Jefferson nickel, it could fetch a price of $76,000. That's right, $76,000. A coin that originally only had a face value of 5 cents could now be worth a small fortune if it's in the right condition. Imagine discovering a nickel tucked away in a drawer, an old coin jar, or a box of family heirlooms. It could be the key to a life-changing find. Whether it's been sitting in your collection for years or you just recently came across it, the 1975 D Jefferson nickel is a coin that could change your financial future. If you think you found one of these rare coins, don't just assume it's another nickel. Take a closer look at its condition. If it's uncirculated and free from any signs of wear, it could be worth much more than you expect. For those who aren't familiar with the grading process, it's important to get your coin assessed by a professional grader. Grading services assign a value to a coin based on its condition, and a coin in the highest grades, like MS-65 or MS-66, will be worth much more than a coin that has been through circulation. A certified grading can unlock the true value of your 1975 D Jefferson nickel. In the world of coin collecting, it's always the small details that matter. A well-preserved 1975 D nickel with no wear and tear could be one of the most valuable coins in your collection. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone who has a few old coins laying around, it's worth taking the time to check if you've got one of these hidden gems. So, the next time you're going through your spare change or sorting through a coin collection, take a moment to look for a 1975 D Jefferson nickel. You might be holding on to more than just a 5-cent piece. You could be holding a coin worth $76,000. Now, we're taking a closer look at a coin that might be hiding in plain sight, the 1987 D Liberty 5-cent coin, commonly known as the 1987 Jefferson nickel. You might think of this as just another nickel, but trust me when I say that this seemingly ordinary coin could actually be worth a small fortune. Stick around until the end, because we're going to reveal just how much this coin could be worth today. Let's rewind to 1987. The United States was in the midst of the 1980s, a decade defined by economic growth and transformation. It was a time of technological advancement, with personal computers becoming a common household item, and the economy bouncing back after the inflationary struggles of the 1970s. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint continued its important job of producing coins to keep up with the demands of the American public. Among these coins was the 1987 Jefferson nickel, which, like other nickels in the series, featured Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, the home of Jefferson. On the reverse, for those unfamiliar with the design, the Jefferson Nickels series has been in circulation since 1938, and over the years, it's become one of the most iconic coin designs in U.S. history. The 1987 version stayed true to the classic look that collectors know and love. But what makes this particular year stand out in the world of coin collecting? The answer lies in its rarity and condition. While the U.S. Mint produced millions of 1987 Jefferson Nickels, the coins you find today are often worn down from decades of circulation. You've probably seen nickels that are faded, scratched, or scuffed from being carried around in wallets or vending machines. These coins are still valuable for their face value, but they don't command the kind of premium that well-preserved or uncirculated coins can fetch. Now, let's talk about the real treasure: finding a 1987 Jefferson nickel that's in pristine condition. Coins that have been stored away carefully, free from scratches or other signs of wear, are incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. The 1987 nickel, minted in Denver, is particularly desirable when it's in uncirculated condition because there are fewer of them in mint state compared to those that have been used in everyday transactions. When it comes to determining the value of a coin, collectors will examine several factors, and the most important of these is the coin's grade. The grading scale ranges from poor, P1, all the way to mint state, MS 70, with coins that fall into the higher grades being more valuable. A coin that is graded as MS 65 or higher can fetch a higher price, and a coin that's in perfect, uncirculated condition, MS 70, could be worth significantly more. However, it's not just the condition of the coin that matters. There's also the issue of rarity. Even though the 1987 nickel was minted in large numbers, a small percentage of these coins have survived in flawless condition. Finding a well-preserved 1987 nickel is a rare occurrence, and the scarcity of such a coin adds to its value. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for these pristine examples to add to their collections, but there's one more factor that can significantly increase the value of a coin: minting errors. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process. A 1987 nickel with a minting error, like a double strike, off-center die, or die crack, is an especially rare find. These error coins are highly collectible because they're unique, and collectors will pay a premium for them. If you happen to come across a 1987 nickel with an error, you could be holding on to something truly valuable. Now, let's get to the exciting part. If you have a 1987 Jefferson nickel in uncirculated condition, or better yet, one that has a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a coin worth a lot more than 5 cents. In fact, a well-preserved 1987 nickel could be worth $39,000. Yes, you heard that right, $39,000. Imagine finding a coin like this tucked away in a drawer, or maybe it's been sitting in a jar of loose change all these years. It's hard to believe that a simple 5-cent piece could be worth so much, but when you factor in its rarity, its condition, and the demand from collectors, you begin to understand why this coin can fetch such a high price. So, what should you do if you think you found a 1987 Jefferson nickel in excellent condition? The first step is to have it professionally graded. A certified coin grading service will assess the condition of the coin and assign it a grade. This will help you understand its true value and ensure that it is authenticated as genuine. Once graded, you can take your coin to an auction or sell it to a collector who will appreciate its worth. The lesson here is that even coins that seem ordinary, like a 1987 Jefferson nickel, can be worth far more than their face value if they are in the right condition or have unique characteristics. So, don't be quick to dismiss those old coins you find lying around. Take the time to inspect them, because you never know when you might come across a coin that could change your life. Last unique coin, we're exploring a coin that you might have sitting in your spare change right now, the 1990p Liberty 5 cents coin, also known as the 1990 Jefferson nickel. While it might seem like just another nickel, this coin holds far more value than you may realize. Stick with me through this video, and by the end, we'll reveal just how much a pristine 1990p Jefferson nickel could be worth today. You won't want to miss this. To begin, let's take a step back in time to 1990. It was a year of change and transition in the United States. The country was enjoying a period of economic growth, and the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins to keep up with a growing population and a rising demand for currency. Among the coins produced that year was the 1990 Jefferson nickel. This coin continued the classic Jefferson nickel design that has been a staple of American coinage since 1938. On the obverse of the 1990 Jefferson nickel, you'll find the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. Jefferson, one of the most influential figures in American history, has been featured on the nickel since the series began, and his image remains one of the most iconic in U.S. coinage. On the reverse of the coin is an image of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate. This beautiful neoclassical building symbolizes Jefferson's vision and accomplishments. The design of the reverse has remained largely unchanged for decades, as it represents both the man and the principles he stood for. But what makes the 1990 Jefferson nickel stand out from the rest? Now, let's talk about what really makes a coin valuable in the world of numismatics. While the 1990 Jefferson nickel was minted in large quantities, many of the coins you encounter today are worn and damaged from years of circulation. Like most circulating coins, these nickels were used for everyday transactions, and that wear and tear can dramatically decrease their value. You'll often find them scratched, tarnished, or scuffed from being passed through vending machines, wallets, and countless hands over the years. However, the real gem in the world of coin collecting is the coin that has managed to escape that fate. A well-preserved 1990 Jefferson nickel in uncirculated condition is something of a rarity. You see, the vast majority of these coins saw daily circulation, so finding one that's never been used, or only minimally handled, is quite special. The value of a coin increases significantly when it's in excellent, near-mint condition. This is where the true potential of the 1990 Jefferson nickel comes into play. You might be asking yourself, how can I tell if my 1990 nickel is worth more than 5 cents? The answer lies in the coin's grade. Grading is a system used by professional numismatists to assess the condition of a coin. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher grades indicating better condition. A coin that has been kept in pristine condition, without visible signs of wear, will receive a high grade, such as MS 65 or MS 66. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. Coins that are graded as uncirculated or in mint state can fetch far more than their face value. For example, a 1990 Jefferson nickel in MS 65 or higher could be worth significantly more than the average nickel. The value starts to climb as the coin's grade increases, and you could be looking at a much more valuable coin than you might have expected. But the story doesn't end there. Minting errors are another key factor that can dramatically increase the value of a coin. Sometimes, during the minting process, mistakes occur that result in unique variations on the coin. These errors can range from double strikes to off-center impressions to die cracks. When such errors are present, the coin becomes a one-of-a-kind piece that collectors covet. If you have a 1990 Jefferson nickel with any unusual features or flaws caused by minting errors, it could be worth even more. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for these types of coins because they are incredibly rare and unique. In fact, a coin that has a minting error, especially one that is in near-mint condition, can skyrocket in value. So, if you happen to stumble upon a 1990 Jefferson nickel that looks a little different from the rest, whether it's got an error or it's just in exceptional condition, you could be holding on to something truly special. So, how much could a 1990 Jefferson nickel actually be worth? If you've got a nickel that's in pristine, uncirculated condition, or one that has a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a valuable find. Coins like this don't come around often, and collectors are always searching for the next big discovery. In fact, the value of a 1990 Jefferson nickel in top condition could reach as much as $30,000. That's right, $30,000 for a coin that originally only had a face value of 5 cents. Now, I know what you're thinking, how could something so small be worth so much? It all comes down to the rarity of the coin in excellent condition and the high demand for such pieces in the coin collecting community. A well-preserved 1990p nickel is not only a piece of history but also a valuable collectible that could bring in a significant return on investment. If you found a 1990p Jefferson nickel or have one tucked away in your collection, it might be time to take a closer look. Have it professionally graded and checked for minting errors, and you might just have a rare and valuable coin on your hands. And who knows? That nickel sitting in your drawer could turn out to be worth thousands of dollars. Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you learned something new about the potential value of the 1990p Jefferson nickel. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date on more rare coin discoveries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting for hidden treasures.